world is look at us. A perfect world is a perfect
planet is not going to save itself. Okay.
Let's get started.
拦住他们了。
Five, four, three, two, one. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
We must work.
We will shield you for now.
Yeah, good job.
You are quite welcome.
Okay.
Yes.
Ah! Hello. That's scream up. Not big. Break the wall, break the wall, break the wall.
I just walked into my death.
Damn.
30 seconds remaining.
Find cover and hold. We've almost won.
An enemy here. An enemy here. Enemy here. An enemy comes.
10 seconds remaining.
Take everything from them. Suffer as I am.
Score 0-0. Switching sides.
You ever just be like,
Prepare to attack. Select your hero.
together.
Do you ever see us apart?
No. I mean, are you a couple?
Yes! A couple of dashing rogues! Not sure what you're missing here. Let's go, let's go, let's go!
Frightening.
Sorry, sorry.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attack commencing. Capture objective A.
It's time. Are we ready?
You're miscounted. We are stronger together.
No.
An enemy comes. I will give you shelter.
Victor. Victor.
Play of the game.
Destroy the device. Please, this one time, let me go.
I'll be back.
Bro, that is just weird.
So yes, I filed a police report on him
What happened?
like a year or two ago because he was sending me harassing emails, voicemails, calls, texts, and I wanted it to stop. He wouldn't stop. That was in Gwinnett County. Filed a police report, told him about it.
Okay.
And
A
it stopped
GPS
for a long
tracker,
time.
that is
Maybe
some weird shit.
fast forward a year, 2 years. He reaches out to me again. He says I'm sorry for everything, and we talk as friends, and everything's okay. All of a sudden today, I'm getting emails like, "Where are you? Who are you with? What are you doing?" He was looking for me for 2 days and like calling different places, trying to find out where I was. He looking in parking lots for my car.
Okay.
Places where he thinks I would be. And he finds my car, and I guess today is when he put a GPS tracker on my car.
Claims he put a GPS on.
That's what he told me. He said it's on the left side tires. I don't know which tire it's under, but he said it's like a magnetic device that's stuck under my car.
Wait,
So
self-reported.
Real well.
I don't know.
Now I'm just kind of.
Yes, please. If you can take it off, I would really
Does that in Breaking Bad. Puts it right under.
appreciate that.
Nah. It's not AirTag. I think AirTag they warn you on your phone.
Hello. Hey, how are you? Good. My name's Officer Wyndham with the Johnson Police Department. I don't know what's going on today.
Okay, so that's the first time I did a mistake. I just thought she might be with someone, so I thought to see where she was. That's all I did. I didn't do anything else. I never had any criminal history.
Okay.
Like that. I just wanted to see where she was and wanted to meet her.
What's your relation together?
Huh?
We hang out for 2 years.
You guys are like friends.
Yeah, kind of like
What the
friends. I'm not
fuck?
girlfriend, but so
Well,
that's
you
what I
just
did.
self-report
and
then.
I said
Yeah,
I would never
self-reported.
contact you again. I destroyed the device. Please, this one time, let me go because I'm a student. So this is the one time.
So what's what you said? You said
Student.
you thought she was with someone tonight?
Yes, she said she went to the hotel. So I thought she might be with someone. So I just wanted to see who it was.
Okay.
So that's why I put the tracking device. Other than that, I didn't do anything
No.
else.
So you actually put a tracking device on her car? Okay. Where is it at?
Under the car.
Under the car?
Yes.
Is it on the driver's side, passenger side?
Like on that side wheel.
On this side?
Yes, under this.
Under the wheel right here?
Not under the wheel, but like in front of the wheel, but on the metal surface.
On the metal?
I will
Wait.
destroy it and I will go and I won't do anything.
Breaking
You
Bad
have your ID with
style.
you?
Yes.
Can I get that from you?
That was Breaking Bad style.
I won't do anything.
Breaking
You have
Bad
your ID with
style.
you?
Yes.
Can I get that from you?
Yeah, when he puts the tracker on.
I don't feel good about this at all.
Look, Walt, I know that this kind of thing is outside your comfort zone.
No, I mean, this is a mistake.
Walt, I need you to help me out here, okay? I mean, this is really important. I mean, Jesus, just...
Like this. Just like that.
This is the only chance I need. I'm really sorry.
Okay.
I understand. It's just a relationship thing. That's it.
Were you guys a thing? Like, were
Like,
you guys a
it's like
couple?
thing, like not like officially, but we were kind of like hanging out and went to like we're going out places and stuff. So we were kind of thinking of that.
Okay.
I was working on that, trying to work out.
You were trying to work that. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, she told you that she was meeting somebody today,
No, she
like
said
at a
she was
hotel.
at the hotel. So okay, last time we went to the hotel, she said she wanted to go have a pool time and stuff. But she said she got a call and she want to go, and I was kind of upset. So I thought she was like lying to me or anything like that. So I put a tracker on that the other day, and next like 2 days back she said she went to hotel.
Absolutely
so I thought she
not.
went with somebody. So that's I had a tracking device like a couple of days back, last week on. So I
Even
just
then,
used it
still
to
wrong.
track it and see where she was. That's it. I didn't do
Doesn't
anything crime and
Have you done that before?
No, first time.
This is your
First
first
time.
And this
First
for
was
her
time.
or at all?
at all.
At all?
Yes.
Okay.
I never had any criminal history.
Just hang out. I'll be right back. Like I said, I need to sort some stuff out. I don't really know what's going
Yeah,
on.
I just,
Nothing, just wanted to tell you something.
Someone in chat really said must work in Texas.
Don't want to
Because everyone's split. Like I have some officers over there. I'm out here with you. I don't have the whole picture, so that's what I'm.
Must
trying to
work
figure
in
out.
tech
Okay?
support.
I'll be right back. All
So
right.
what is this still talking anyway?
210, 240.
Is it a climb? Of course it is. What the fuck?
He's calling me. Should I answer?
Don't answer that.
Okay.
Bro, you're tampering with somebody's fucking vehicle plus tracking them down and then, bro, of course it's fucking illegal. Are you good?
Hey, Ramesh. For the time being, just hang up the phone. Don't try and call it for a second, okay? Just let us sort this stuff out, all right?
Maybe if I take it to like a car place,
Well,
put it up on wheels.
if he was able to put it in there, I should be able to get it out. Maybe, but I don't see it.
Hey, Ramesh.
Wait, fell off.
Go ahead and step out of the car for me and talk with me back here at your truck, okay? What's that on the dash?
It's the camera.
Well, what's this thing?
This thing?
Yeah. Oh, that's your. Okay,
Yeah.
I got you. All right. Okay.
Well, I'm not invested in this. Hold on.
So, I'm having a hard time kind of grasping what's going on, right? So, explain to me, like, give me a rundown about what happened today. Like,
Today?
Yeah, you said she was, you had knowledge she was going to a hotel.
Okay, she's day before yesterday night.
Yep.
She said,
This is
I said,
me
well,
when
where are you?
welcome
I was like, we were planning to meet.
Xqc'S.
So I said, where are you? She said, I have a problem with like my roommates and I went to the hotel.
Okay.
But have it like tracking device.
Which hotel did she go to?
Hampton.
Here in Johns Creek?
No.
Or like closer?
Peachtree Corners.
Peachtree Corners?
So,
okay.
Like since I have the last week tracking device, I never came back here to. So I never came back to track her and anything like that.
Okay.
But since she said she was in a hotel, I just thought to see where she was, if she was like lying to me or with anybody else.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I was trying to work things out. So I just
210.
You said the driver's rear wheel well is where he placed the tracker?
So that you put the tracker on this side of the car?
Yes, on this side.
By this wheel?
Watch them bullets later if we get some
on
food.
the under
yeah.
on the metal.
Metal, yeah.
So what is Lieutenant?
Yeah, A-firm. He says the rear driver's side wheel, and it's gonna be on the metal, like undercarriage, like on the bottom of the car, but close to the wheel.
Oh, 10-2.
How big is it?
It's like a magnet, more like a black,
like
black color, yeah, this color.
Like a size of a quarter?
Should I stand there?
Like this side, like this side.
Like a watch?
Yeah, watch this
Okay.
side.
All right. Okay, so she was staying at a hotel in Peachtree Corners.
Yes.
So
I went.
When did you?
Huh?
When did you put that on there?
Last time we went to the hotel, I don't remember the date exactly. It's on like September
So it's
1st.
been
September 1st.
September 1st.
Yes.
I found it.
You found it?
Yep.
Oh my god!
Yep.
You can't get it?
No, I can't. I'll take a picture of it.
How did they do that?
Okay. So you placed it on the September 1st.
Yes, September 1st.
And so
I mean,
fast forward
GG.
to yesterday.
Yeah,
She said she was going.
There's even a chance they would have found it if they didn't say shit either. I mean, not that one's alive. I mean, this guy's just massive silver porta.
That's A-firm. She does want to press charges.
210 his call sign Bucko.
Real quick, okay? Hang on one second.
Oh,
Speak
tooth and call sign. Ah. Well, all 7, yep.
Okay. Hey Ramesh, come over here for me, okay? All right. At this time, you're under arrest for unlawful surveillance. Okay.
You're under arrest for bro. Like it's bro, man, you're doing something, man. You're coming in, bro.
Let me take a picture.
I thought it was funny you said that. I said it like that.
All right, so
Yes.
you're saying you want to press charges.
Yes.
So, what I'm going to need from you is if I give you a piece of paper, could you write down
What the fuck is
everything
that?
happened? Just kind of sticking with the most recent events.
All right, Ramesh, we're gonna step back to the front of my car, okay? Because now you're in
Yeah, it's a
handcuffs
tracker,
and
yeah.
you're under arrest. I'm gonna search you, okay? Do you have any weapons on you? Nothing? Anything in your pockets?
Probably keychain and stuff, maybe. That's it.
So we're gonna have a seat in the back of my car, and I'll explain a little bit some more stuff.
That was like the most straightforward self-report arrest without any incidents ever.
All right, Ramesh, I'm gonna read you your Miranda warnings, okay? So you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to talk to a lawyer and have him or her present with you while you are being questioned.
Yo! Chat. in like 80% of the videos of cops, they always pull out their card when they do Miranda. Do they not like price? Bro, even in fucking a role play, it takes like 1 hour, and you know how to say it.
If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be questioned or one will be appointed to represent you before any questioning if you wish. You can decide at any time to exercise these rights and not answer any questions or make any statements. Okay? Do you understand each of these rights I've explained to you? Okay. And having these rights in mind, do you wish to talk to me now? No? Okay.
Say it? I mean, I think it's... I think there's different... from what I've seen, some say it differently. I think it's... you have the right to remain silent. Anything... Hold up, let me switch scene. And say, anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be provided to you by the state. Do you understand your rights to have a fucking, like I stated to you or something like that, right? Is that right?
Xqc'S.
Yo, X is bugging.
X on the beat, yo. Okay.
Darkest ones in the TV history. Chat, is this allowed?
January 11th, 2001, famed Brazilian actress, model, and singer Xuxa lands her prop spaceship on the stage of a Brazilian TV set and begins her show the way she always does. The program, titled Xuxa Park, was a hit for the Ready Global Network, targeting a demographic of young children with its over-the-top dance numbers, fun games, and immersive futuristic sets. Premiering back in the summer of '94, Xuxa Park had shown little signs of slowing down by the turn of the century, and seemed poised for a long, impressive run, barring any unforeseen disaster. On this particular day, 300 children were in attendance to watch or participate in the show's activities. Xuxa's infectious energy led the way from segment to segment as they played games, showed cartoons, and of course sang their songs. And by the end of the episode, the crew had all gathered on stage to perform one last musical number to end things off with a bang. And evidently, that's exactly what would happen.
Wait, what?
Yo!
Number to end things off with a bang. And evidently, that's exactly what would happen.
Huh? Yo, Taz!
This frame was taken just over 1 minute later, revealing all that remained of the set, as within that impossibly short window of time, the once bright and inviting scenery was turned to a pitch-black, unrecognizable hellscape, barely comprehensible to the camera that was also just mere moments away from being swallowed by the flames, but not before it would capture the carnage firsthand.
I'm biting my nails right now, in the streets man like the real.
Go.
What the fuck happened there? Yeah, but I know a lot of sets because of how they're built. They like inflame in like half a second. Boom, like.
In the blink of an eye, the spaceship which Xuxa had rode in on and was moments away from re-entering to leave the set would catch fire, all while the dancers continued their performance, unaware of the emerging danger behind them. A member of the staff quickly enters the frame in an attempt to extinguish the flames, but it was already too late, as just a few seconds after the spark, the entire ship was engulfed by the blaze, causing a mass panic on the set. Worst of all, directly next to the fiery ship, and just barely out of view of the camera, was the show's signature Ferris wheel, which kids would ride during the program, including during this very moment. As the fire raged, one boy was trapped in his seat, helpless to the danger unfolding around him. And noticing this, a group of brave people on scene began desperately trying to free him, which can just barely be seen on the left-hand side of the screen. Thankfully, their attempts proved successful, as he was eventually freed from a seat and carried to safety.
Nice.
The fire was later determined to have started by an electrical short circuit, and the set would soon be completely turned to ash and rubble. But as for the nearly 300 children and numerous staff on scene, despite multiple injuries, everyone had somehow managed to escape the building with their lives, with the only reported fatality being the show itself, as this would be the last episode ever filmed, with Xqc's Park being swiftly cancelled.
Wait, what?
Thankfully,
Wait, what?
this moment saw all parties involved survive the ordeal, a rarity in the world of disturbing television moments.
What
Though it
did you
does
do?
highlight just how quickly things can go downhill when the cameras are rolling, and when these dark moments ultimately happen, all we can really do is watch.
Something happened that turned this video into
Oh, yeah. Stay with the base, man.
Your 3-year-old daughter is what?
De aquel suicidio que mencionamos al principio.
If online.
So it was an ad. My bad.
Joandra Núñez, la muchachita, era hija de Emilio Núñez.
There are very few manners of death that strike fear among us as much as the horrifying prospect of being buried alive. The dark, claustrophobic nature of it, slowly losing oxygen with not a thing in the world you can do to stop it.
Yeah, fuck that.
It just strikes a chilling chord with so many. However, with this fear arose a unique opportunity for those looking to make a spectacle. Rather than running from this mortal fear, a select few magicians and daredevils have tried their hand at the challenge of being buried alive, by not just surviving, but escaping. The trick was popularized by arguably the greatest magician of all time, Harry Houdini, who tried his hand at the stunt on a few separate occasions, the first of which would see him narrowly escape a casket buried under 6 feet of dirt by breaking through the surface with his fist, only to fall unconscious before he could complete the trick, with the stunt almost ending in his death.
Actual OG.
From there, he would be buried again on 2 separate occasions, surviving both for well over an hour, but never being able to fully pull himself out, and in turn pull off the seemingly impossible. Houdini did have plans to give it one more try in 1927, when he believed the stunt would finally be completed, but sadly he would pass away before getting the opportunity. Because of this, the trick has acted as somewhat of a magnum opus for any magician able to pull off the feat, a feat that even the great Houdini himself couldn't accomplish.
Oh my god, this
and
show,
so,
dude.
on the 66th anniversary of his death, American escape artist Bill Shirk would honor the late magician by attempting to do just that.
The mask
For the
guy.
stunt, Shirk would add extra elements of flair, upping the
Oh
danger
my
by
God.
being handcuffed, and having cement poured over top of the casket as opposed to just dirt. And he planned on doing it all with a TV crew on hand. However, from the get-go, things seemed to be off with the performance, as Shirk expressed concern over the grave being dug too wide and too long, thus changing the dynamics of his escape.
Like this. I got a bad feeling about this thing.
At one point, when the first layer of dirt was being applied, Shirk would use his walkie-talkie to tell his team to call off the whole ordeal and to pull him up from the ground, seemingly in a moment of clarity. But everything was already in motion. This was his big moment with everyone watching.
Wait, what?
He couldn't afford to fail. Besides, he had been buried alive before, setting a record back in 1977 by spending a total of 79 hours beneath the surface of the earth.
Wait, they killed him?
He was no stranger to this, and not wanting to let his fans down, Bill Shirk would change his mind and continue the stunt by giving his team the green light to begin pouring the cement. And as that concrete began to settle and harden over top of the casket, things take a very grim turn.
Decides to go ahead. I think we gotta go. Tons of concrete are poured. Suddenly, the concrete sinks. The coffin has been crushed.
Oh
Almost
my
immediately,
God.
the level of liquid concrete dips dramatically, and large bubbles appear on the surface, accompanied by a massive splashing noise. Signs that point to only one real possibility, that the weight of the concrete and dirt had caused the coffin to cave in, with those very same materials instantly filling in any available space inside the coffin, and in turn, suffocating Shirk. The rescue effort
Wait, did they not do like just like simple math behind it?
was underway almost instantly, but still, it felt like it was all moving in slow motion, and most assumed right away that if the weight of the concrete alone had not killed him, then the lack of oxygen certainly would.
A backhoe digs, and digs, and crucial moments.
This guy in chat says, bro, this is the 1800s. It's a color fucking camera and audio, you fucking more. This is live, bro. Are you fucking hot? 1800s!
Shirk cannot be found.
1800s.
However, this thankfully wouldn't be the case. Incredibly, Shirk managed to claw his way to the surface, where his team was able to pull him to safety and rush him into an awaiting ambulance. And though his condition appeared severe, he was alive and had somehow cheated death.
Thank God he spared my life on this one, and it'll be a while before I'll do one of these. I'll tell you that.
Despite planning to be done with this stunt for a while, Shirk would be back to attempting his death-defying stunts soon after, with some ending in similar results.
After Shirk climbs in the casket, the snake goes in first, but there's a problem, and Shirk has to get help.
But although Bill Shirk was able to escape this trick with his life, not everyone has been so lucky. 2 years prior to Shirk's run-in with death, another performer known as the Amazing Joe had attempted the same stunt at an amusement park, also going the route of having dirt and wet cement poured over his plastic and glass coffin. This was Joe's attempt at becoming a master escape artist, and forever etching himself into the history books of this particular niche. In fact, he had already done what Houdini couldn't, as years prior he had escaped from a wooden coffin covered in 6 feet of dirt. But this attempt was clearly much more extreme, and with it should have come an immense amount of planning, not only by Joe himself, but the team around him. However, according to reports, the coffin used was never actually tested to see if it could withstand such a great amount of weight, and also he never tested the weight of the cement itself and the speed in which it would harden. Joe was quite literally going into this blind, and his confidence was apparent, as the cherry on top of this poor planning was the fact that no rescue procedure was in place should the stunt go horribly wrong.
What is this
And unsurprisingly, well, that's exactly what would happen.
It was a cold night anyway, and when it sunk, I just knew trouble. We're in trouble. It's not fun anymore.
Much like the footage from Bill Shirk's attempted escape, the level of cement and dirt suddenly dips, only this time in a much more dramatic fashion, with the cave-in being so brutal that I'm not sure I'll even be allowed to show it on YouTube. According to many onlookers there, the coffin being destroyed by that immense weight caused a massive crashing noise, followed by immense panic from those trying to rescue Joe. But without a proper plan, the situation quickly grew helpless, and trapped beneath that dirt, surrounded by cheering fans, his parents, and a TV camera, the Amazing Joe would lose his life, ironically within a coffin, buried 6 feet under.
That's fucked up, man.
Todo ocurrió cuando estábamos en el la hija de Emilio y Maritza.
Jesus.
Sporting events are no stranger to disturbing TV moments, from hockey players having their throats cut open,
Opinion about Jess Doll.
It's ugly. Richard Zedek is cut wide open.
to a football player suffering cardiac arrest right there on the field.
They have been administering CPR through these past 2 breaks that we've taken.
It's unfortunately
Administering CPR through these past 2 breaks that we've taken.
It's unfortunately always a risk in practically any televised sport out there. And although there's always a lingering chance that at any moment things could go terribly wrong, that risk mainly pertains to the players actually participating in the sport, and you likely wouldn't imagine fans being in any sort of danger as they sit by watching the game. Though sadly it does happen from time to time, with perhaps the most notable example being the story of Shannon Stone. Shannon was a 39-year-old firefighter who, on the 7th of July 2011, took his son Cooper to watch a Texas Rangers game in Arlington. This was the perfect bonding opportunity for the duo, and an even better opportunity to catch fly balls, as their seats left them in prime position to take home an unforgettable souvenir. The two would even stop at a sporting store beforehand, where Shannon would buy his son a baseball glove to use in the event that a loose ball came flying their way. And as the game reached the top of the second inning, their moment had finally arrived.
That one lined but foul. When I look at Gutierrez's face.
A foul ball was hit in their general direction, being quickly recovered by Rangers outfielder Josh Hamilton. And rather than returning the ball to the dugout or the field itself, Hamilton decided to make Cooper's day, recognizing the young fan in the stands and subsequently tossing the ball to Shannon. As this was all transpiring, the game continued with the pitcher preparing for his next throw, before suddenly you can hear the sound of something strange.
I want them to be great in their last
Exactly.
I would rather have that than have it like Holland where he just... I want them to be great in their last
Exactly.
I would rather have that than have it like
What?
Holland where he just knocked out.
It almost seemed like yelling, which was followed by some sort of strong reaction from the crowd, which in turn led to an immediate stoppage of play, as the announcers were left trying to figure out what exactly was happening, until they finally received word on the unfolding situation.
Where? Got a lot of energy built up.
I
think somebody fell out of the stands in left field trying to field a baseball guy. Well, this is it.
Yo! What the fuck?
Why there was time.
Why did you resign from Rocket League? I get that
The man in this
SR
footage was in fact
with
Shannon
downward
Stone,
trend,
and as Josh
provided
Hamilton
the
had gone to
goal
toss the ball up to
Zach.
him, the throw fell just a bit short, causing the 39-year-old father to extend past the railing before losing his balance. And despite the seemingly playful nature of the announcers at the time,
You were right, Ray. Somebody did tumble.
this fall was no laughing matter, as below that railing stood a 20-foot fall directly onto a concrete floor, which Shannon would strike head first.
Oh
As
my
he lay there
God.
on the ground, barely able to move, the man was miraculously still conscious, finding the strength to tell the rescue team carrying him out, "Please check on my son. My son was up there all by himself." Based on this reaction, it was clear that Stone was obviously alive and had clear brain function,
That's insane.
making his initial prognosis on the scene somewhat promising. But before he would even reach a nearby hospital, Shannon Stone would be pronounced dead. According to many medical
Jesus.
professionals, this immediate showing of brain function was more or less a fluke occurrence, and something they call a lucid interval, which is a window of conscious clarity after a traumatic injury, essentially meaning that although his ability to move and speak seemed to be a positive indicator, it was instead a sign that the injuries his brain had suffered were going to be fatal. In the years since, Shannon Stone's memory lives on, with a statue being made in his honor in that very stadium where his life came to an end, forever immortalizing someone who, by all accounts, was a great man and an even better father.
Damn.
Was a great man and an even better father.
Hacía solo 2 meses que Joanda se había...
We don't see or hear anything.
Y su padre se preguntaba por qué su hija se había quitado la vida.
If you spent any considerable amount of time here on YouTube, then chances are you're at least somewhat familiar with the show To Catch a Predator.
I've never heard
During
about
its
this
run
one.
on Dateline, the show was
I never heard of it.
incredibly popular, with its host Chris Hansen being launched into stardom for his role exposing pedophiles on the internet.
How you doing? You have a seat over in that chair, please.
At the time, there was really nothing else like this on TV, and was widely viewed as one of the most entertaining shows out there, which has caused it to find a second life here on YouTube, as re-uploads of its episodes have been viewed as many as 50 million plus times. To this day, the show remains immensely popular, and
This
during
guy,
its
that's the
television
lemonade
run,
guy.
the same was true, which led me to wonder how or why it was ever taken off the air. I mean, it was entertaining, popular, and with the internet exploding in recent
That's the
years,
lemonade guy,
the
isn't it,
content would seemingly be endless. Yet somehow, this show only lasted 3 years. And that's when I realized that there's actually a very specific reason why To Catch a Predator was pulled from the air. And it's one of the darker TV stories I've ever heard. During the fall of 2007, Perverted Justice, the team that To Catch a Predator used to find their predators, had set up a decoy account on MySpace, posing as a 13-year-old boy. And before long, another user had taken the bait, reaching out to the fake child
Oh
in
my
the hopes
God.
of sparking an intimate relationship. According to the user's account, he was a 19-year-old college student that happened to live in the same area. However, upon doing some light digging, the Perverted Justice team discovered that the man was actually in his late 50s. His name was Louis Condrat, and although his behavior was similar to essentially all other predators in the show's run, sending explicit messages and pornographic images, despite knowing he was speaking to a child, Louis was different in one respect. It seems that Condrat was in a position of power, working as a chief felony assistant district attorney for Rockwall County. This was setting up to be To Catch a Predator's biggest catch to date, and exposing him would not only mean bringing him to justice, but also bringing in great ratings for the show.
For sure.
Though there was one major issue. Upon engaging the decoy for a few hours and even calling to speak to him.
Hello?
Hey, Will.
Hey, what are you doing?
Nothing. What are you doing?
Nothing.
No?
No, I was looking up to see how to get to where you are.
Still thinking about me?
Yeah, where's your right hand?
It's in my pocket.
In your pocket?
What the?
And what are you doing with your right hand in your pocket?
Lewis stopped responding
Oh my
and
God.
seemed to recognize the grave error he was making and began deleting all content from his account. And as a few days passed, it was clear that Lewis was not going to be visiting their sting house, which meant no program and no justice. However, the To Catch a Predator team was not going to let this go easily, with the crew coming up with a plan that had never been done before in the history of the show. They were going to bring the program to Conrad.
Oh, no
And so
shot.
on November 5th, Hansen and his crew would visit Conrad's house with a group of officers and an arrest and search warrant. This would not be without controversy though, as the warrants supposedly contained wrong information like the wrong county and the wrong date, meaning that they would likely struggle to hold up in court and probably should have never been acted on. Despite this, the crew urged law enforcement to act anyway, rushing the ordeal to assure they got their guy. And so the police agreed, first calling Conrad and then knocking on his door for multiple hours, though neither attempt saw any results. And growing impatient with the whole ordeal, they then called in the SWAT team to surround and eventually breach the house, which they would do around 3 p.m., barging into the home and surrounding Conrad at gunpoint.
What the fuck?
As this was all happening, To Catch a Predator had their cameras trained on the outside of the home, awaiting the shot of Conrad being ushered into a cop car and driven away, unaware that this time, things were going to end much differently. Inside, Conrad would yell to the officers, "I'm not gonna hurt anybody," before brandishing his pistol, and rather than pointing it at the officers, he instead pointed it at himself.
Oh shit.
The officers line up in formation and head to the back of the house.
Okay. This is really dark, but I have to ask. What is the difference between a normal arrest and that arrest? There isn't much of a difference, if any. So I don't know how this show's at fault here.
Then we hear a faint crack. The officers force their way in. For almost 5 minutes, we don't see or hear anything. Then Lieutenant Adana Barber of the Murphy...
If the warrant is bad, the people acting on it are at fault, which is the police, not the fucking show. How are we gonna blame Chris Hansen, okay, for executing a bad warrant? It's the fucking PD that fucks up. What do you
The police department comes out and tells us what happened.
As they made entry, they confronted the suspect. I believe he's in the hallway, and he told them he wasn't going to hurt
You blamed him? The show got canceled.
And he had a pistol in his hand.
This single gunshot would essentially mark the end of To Catch a Predator, as in the time following, NBC would be hit with a $105 million lawsuit from Conrad's own sister. And though this lawsuit was settled privately with undisclosed conditions, the show was already on death's door, which was not helped by the national media dogpiling on To Catch a Predator, as well as perverted justice.
But now there are serious questions about what goes on behind the scenes.
Whose sting was this? The police departments or the vigilantes hired by Dateline?
Oh, boo fucking who, dude? Dude, don't be a fucking internet deviant, real life cucklord weirdo fucking child.
What the fuck is that saying?
Man. Is it, how hard is it?
Bro.
It's just not that hard. It really isn't. Just don't be a deviant.
That's exactly.
Just don't be a threat to society.
The police department can't tell me whether or not
Basically.
I have the full transcripts.
Did your arresting officers, did they see the chats before they made the arrest?
In some cases, yes.
Did they see the entire chats?
Making it impossible, says District Attorney Roach, to mount a successful prosecution. Charges have been dropped against every single person arrested in the Murphy sting.
With these claims causing some to believe that the show was more interested in entertainment rather than justice, and whether that's true or not, To Catch a Predator would be canceled.
Wait. Okay. Yeah, isn't that properly? Hold up.
Entire chance?
Making it impossible, says District Attorney Roach, to mount a successful prosecution. Charges have been dropped against every single person arrested in the Murphy sting.
With these claims causing some to believe that the show was more interested in entertainment rather than justice. And whether that's true or not, To Catch a Predator would be cancelled, marking a tragic end.
Yo, did anybody double check the records to see if any of these guys were released and actually did something weird or fucked up? That would be insane.
That would be
that
insane.
would pretty much hold them liable for this shit, brother. That they know some people are fucked up, leave them out, they do something, and it's like, bro, I mean,
and to one of the strangest yet most compelling TV shows ever to be broadcast, thanks solely
there was
to this
actually, you're
great
right,
moment.
I forgot about that. Hold on, I want my hands.
Su ex esposa Maritza. Maritza, me daría una reacción para ocurrió así, por favor.
As evident by the first batch of cases in this video, many of the darkest moments in TV history come from shocking accidents or overall disturbing events that play out for the cameras to see. However, there are a select few examples where television moments only really become dark long after they're aired and more context is given. For example, in our first installment of the series, we discussed Renard Spivey.
Ask him, he's been married for how long? Over 27
Look at him though,
years.
he look mad. You don't look happy, brother. You don't look happy.
63-year-old Renard Spivey accused of killing his wife, 52-year-old Patricia Spivey, after an argument that turned deadly.
The man who had murdered his wife years after making an appearance on television, with one joke at his expense during this time aging like milk.
Wait.
The concept of killers finding their way onto TV
That's
is one that
insane.
I've recently become fascinated by,
Whoa, whoa.
with the case always being brought up in tandem with this conversation being the dating game killer. In 1978, a man named Rodney Alcala had found his way onto the popular show The Dating Game, earning a date with Cheryl Bradshaw above all other contestants. However, this date would never actually materialize, as upon meeting him away from the cameras, Cheryl found the man to be creepy and ultimately declined to speak with him any further. And as it turns out, that decision may have saved her life. During the time in which this episode was shot and aired, Rodney was in the midst of a massive killing spree, ending the lives of at least 8 people that we know of.
Jesus.
Though many claim his true number of victims is shockingly closer to 130, due to the fact that they had found a stash of over 1,000 photographs detailing women, young boys, and men that Rodney had taken, many of which are believed to have been unidentified victims of him. And what makes this all the more chilling is the fact that Rodney had told the show that he was a photographer, and it was even mentioned during the program.
Well, let's see. Bachelor number 1 is a successful photographer who got his start when his father found him in the dark room at the age of 13, fully developed.
Given the shocking nature of this case, it's really no wonder why it's become so popular, especially here on YouTube. But surprisingly, there are quite a few examples of of killers finding their way onto our TV screens that have happened within the past decade alone. And one that even happened within just days of writing this script.
Cold and alone in the jungle.
One obscure
Never
example
welcomed
comes from the show Celebrity MasterChef, where in the background we can see an inconspicuous man serving food cooked by the contestants of the show. The man was one of a dozen unnamed chefs, just helping out, typically out of view of the camera. But for this one split second, and likely to the recognition of no one, we see him. This man's name is Stephen Port, a 40-year-old living in South London, who has since come to be known as the Grindr Killer. Stephen is responsible for the deaths of 4 men he met on the Grindr app, all of whom he had lured to his flat and poisoned with fatal doses of GHB, before going on to violate and then dump their corpses. With these murders transpiring not long after this fleeting moment was broadcast for the world to see, making me wonder just how many other killers have appeared in glimpses on TV that have not yet been recognized. Maybe they were walking in a crowd or panned over at a sporting event, hiding in plain sight.
I wonder if there's like a psychological
The killers
correlation.
don't just get shown as background characters or as one-off contestants for just a single episode. Sometimes they are permanently etched in the show's history. In the summer of 2020, Food Network began airing a season of Worst Cooks in America.
I mean, there's probably a link that's like a little bit unrelated. I mean, why these guys get? I understand, chat. Not a lot of people get on camera in front on TV. Right, I think we could get that, right? Not a lot of humans get on TV, right? It's a very small amount, and then out of all the population, right? How many people end up being killers, right? Well, do these numbers correlate, or I feel like there's a higher density. Definitely is a higher density.
One of their more popular shows, and this one was.
But why?
Set to be a big one, as it marked the program's 20th season. The competition was all in good fun, with lots of humorous and memorable moments, leading to the eventual finale on the 2nd of July. And in that episode, the fan favorite Ariel Robinson would take home the crown as winner of the show, along with the grand prize
of the worst cook in America.
Oh, wow,
However, if you were to look for this season today, let's say on demand, on streaming services, or even on TV, you would be left with no results, as its existence has been practically wiped from the face of the earth. And given what happened after the season ended, this comes as little surprise.
What happened?
Upon winning the competition, Ariel
narcissism, need for attention, and going on TV is probably I think that makes a lot of sense, actually. Now that I think about it.
Robinson settled back into her normal life with her husband, Jerry. And after securing life-changing funds from the show, the couple made the admirable decision to foster a young girl named Victoria, whom they eventually decided to officially adopt in January of 2021. On the 6th of the month, just over...
What? Anyone watch these videos, you guys make like weird correlation between like killers and me and shit like that. It's just odd. It's something that it's just odd, man. Nobody wants to see that shit in chat.
For a week before the adoption was set to be finalized, Ariel would take to Twitter to boast about her parenting, stating, "I'm a mama bear, and I'll do anything to protect my children and make sure their futures are equally bright." A statement that seemed in line with her already stellar reputation as being a fun-loving, good person who dedicated her life to loving her kids. However, no one could have imagined the devastating turn this family was heading for. 5 days after Victoria's adoption, Ariel's husband, Jerry, would dial 911 stating,
"You have an emergency. Our daughter is unresponsive. She's drunk a lot of water. We're trying to pump CPR to get out. Our 3-year-old daughter is choking on water right now."
Your 3-year-old daughter is what?
Choking on water right now. We need help immediately.
Okay, we'll get help on the way.
This led to emergency responders rushing to the scene where the young girl was found unresponsive on the floor of her bedroom and was soon after declared dead. Across her body were countless bruises which Ariel claimed to have been from their attempts at CPR. Though bizarrely, during the whole ordeal, her story would quickly change, as she soon began blaming her 7-year-old son, whom she stated had a history of anger issues, believing potentially he had killed her. Already, something very strange was happening with the situation, and it only became more bizarre when a forensic pathologist confirmed that Victoria had died not from choking, but from blunt force injuries and internal bleeding, essentially meaning that her death was no accident. This launched a full-scale investigation into the couple, where it would later be discovered that on the day before her death, Victoria had gotten sick at church, causing Ariel to undress her and make her walk out of the building in just her underwear, telling her, "Oh, you're cold, girls that make themselves throw up deserve to be cold." This anger seemingly boiled over the next morning, where ironically Victoria was refusing to
What
eat
the
pancakes
fuck?
that Ariel had out of the building in
Wait, what
investigation
happened?
into the couple, where it would later be discovered that on the day before her death, Victoria had gotten sick at church, causing Ariel to undress her and make her walk out of the building in just her underwear, telling her, "Oh, you're cold, you're cold. Girls that make themselves throw up deserve to be cold." This anger seemingly boiled over the next morning, where ironically Victoria was refusing to eat pancakes that Ariel had cooked, which led to Ariel grabbing her, dragging her up the stairs, and beating her with a paddle. According to Jerry, who was working in the back, dragging her, refusing to eat pancakes, boiled over the next morning, where ironically Victoria was refusing to eat pancakes that Ariel had cooked, which led to Ariel grabbing her, dragging her up the stairs, and beating her with a paddle. According to Jerry, who was working in the backyard at the time, he could hear the beating from outside, claiming that it lasted almost an hour, though he did nothing to stop it.
An
As a
hour?
result, Victoria began to bleed internally, and later would pass away due to the traumatic injuries she had suffered by the hands of her soon-to-be mother. When it was all said and done, Ariel Robinson was arrested and will now spend the rest of her life in prison, so soon after her triumphant win on Worst Cooks.
What about
Since the news initially
the
broke
dad
on
dude?
this, the entirety of Season 20 has been removed from the internet and has been wiped from the show's history. But for me, one of the most chilling moments in Ariel's history on television came soon after her victory, when a local news station would come to her home for an interview.
I truly am not the worst cook in America.
But she is the winner of Food Network's Worst Cooks in America Season 20.
Yes, I am putting mayo in a glove.
Ariel Robinson lives in Simpsonville.
Where inside, we see a sign proudly displayed by Ariel, touting her as the #1 mom. Soon after, this same local news station would become the leading reporters on her murder case. Despite this all transpiring within just a few years, this surprisingly is not even the most recent example of a killer being prominently featured on TV,
Xqc'S.
as news broke of this final example just days ago. In January of 2020, the widely popular show Family Feud featured the Bleefnick family, who would go on to win the episode and leave a few iconic moments in its wake, with the most relevant coming from this man, Timothy Bleefnick. During one of the segments,
I love Family Feud.
the question was posed, what is your biggest
we've seen this episode, right? Yes, I'm pretty sure we've seen this episode. No?
mistake you made at your wedding? To which Timothy responds with,
Honey, I love you, but said I do.
What did he say?
Which Timothy responds with,
Honey, I love you, but said I do. Not my mistake. Not my mistake. I love my wife. I'm gonna get in trouble for that, aren't I?
If you've seen the show before, you know that this type of humor is the norm, and jokes like this are made in virtually every single episode. But this one would later take on a much more sinister tone due to the events that unfolded not long after the show had aired. Around a year after Timothy's moment,
what'd he say?
My mistake.
Said I do.
At your wedding, to which Timothy responds with,
Honey, I love you, but said I do. I do.
But this long after the show, Rebecca would actually separate. Not officially divorcing moment in the limelight, he and his wife Rebecca would actually separate. Not officially divorcing, but living in separate homes and seemingly not getting along either, as it was recently revealed that Rebecca had filed for a restraining order against both Timothy as well as his father, a clear indication that she believed her life was in some sort of danger. Fast forward to February of 2023, and the two were finally making headway on finalizing an official divorce, before on the 23rd day of the month, gunshots rang out from Rebecca's home.
I would put all against us.
Rebecca Bleefnick.
He competed on Family Feud.
Listen to his haunting response to host Steve Harvey's question about wedding day mistakes.
What's the biggest mistake you made at your wedding? Honey, I love you, but said I do.
The audience gasped, and Bleakneck attempted to clarify.
Not my mistake. I love my wife. I'm going to get in trouble for that, aren't I? Yeah.
Yesterday, when
was found by a family member Thursday.
Oh my God.
Police say she had been shot multiple times.
When police arrived on scene, Rebecca was sadly no longer alive. And it wouldn't take long for investigators to turn their sights on Timothy. On March 13th, police would arrest the now 39-year-old in connection with his soon-to-be ex-wife's death, charging him with 2 counts of first-degree murder and blaming him for the shooting that took place at her home, with his mugshot showing him as completely unrecognizable to the man we saw on TV just years before. The whole situation unrecognizable to the man we saw on TV just years before. The whole situation is incredibly disturbing. And what makes it even worse is just how beloved Timothy and his family were in their hometown. I mean, they literally had community watch parties to cheer on the family that can still be found here on YouTube.
But listen, there was so much fun. I'm so happy and appreciative of the support of the community, so thanks.
Making the event soon to come all the more tragic. And given everything that's happened since the show aired, and since Timothy said this iconic joke, I think it's very possible.
I know how to do it now, okay? If you guys do it again, okay, you're gonna get clapped.
That there was at least some truth to his words.
Ya que estamos aquí, trataba de conseguirla a usted, si es tan amable, ¿me da una reacción para el programa Ocurrió Así?
Our final entry takes us to the tragic passing of 15-year-old Yoandra Martine back in November of 1992. The young girl had recently discovered that she was 13 weeks pregnant, much to the disappointment of her family, and subsequently ended her life as a result.
Oh my God.
Which momentarily thrusted her parents, Maritza Martine and Emilio Nunez, into the public eye. The two had been separated since before she was even born, with Maritza gaining full custody, something that Emilio would later claim she had used to keep his daughter away from him, as the two supposedly spent very little time together. As a result, Nunez began publicly blaming Maritza for the death of their daughter, claiming that she and her new husband had been abusive towards her.
So he said the last name is Taz. Taz?
And it even struck her upon discovering she was pregnant.
Where?
Making matters worse, Nunez would go on to allege that Maritza never even told him that their daughter had died, and had only found out an hour before the funeral from a friend. Now, I want to stress that there is absolutely no information I could find to fully confirm any of what Nunez was claiming, and with many elements of Nunez's story, the jury is still out, though in his own mind, this truly seems to be what he believed. And this is where the dark side of television began to rear its ugly head. For whatever reason, the news station Ocurrió Así had decided to cover Emilio's allegations against Maritza, seemingly taking his word at face value and launching a full-scale story into the case. It started with Emilio being interviewed by a reporter from the station named Ingrid Cruz, which transpired in the vicinity of his daughter's grave. During the questioning, Ingrid would ask him things like, "What would you tell your daughter if she was still alive? And how did you feel when you saw your dead daughter in the casket?" Her questions were clearly crossing the line, and things would only get worse from here, as while they her questions were clearly live. During the questioning, Ingrid would ask him things like, "What would you tell your daughter if she was still alive? And how did you feel when you saw your dead daughter in the casket?" Her questions were clearly crossing the line, and things would only get worse from here, as while they were filming this segment, Maritza herself had arrived on location to Yoandra's final resting place.
Doña Maritza. Love you, chat Xqc'S. Maritza, ¿me daría una reacción para Ocurrió Así, por favor? Sobre la muerte de su hija Yoandra. Una reacción de usted.
Upon her arrival, Nunez immediately removed himself from the situation, and Maritza was instead swarmed by Cruz, who began bombarding her with questions, each of which were ignored, as she clearly was uncomfortable and didn't want to speak to the cameras, and was just trying to get to her daughter's grave.
Quiero saber por qué, la reacción, el por qué usted quiere esquivarnos a nosotros.
It's clear in the footage that tensions were rising by the second, as it seemed apparent that Cruz was clearly attempting to provoke her into any sort of reaction, until suddenly, the unthinkable happened.
Whoa!
Su hija tomó esa decisión de quitarse la vida. Usted no tiene nada que decir.
In a split second, and out of absolutely nowhere, we see Nunez charge back into frame, as though he initially appeared to be doing the responsible thing by walking away from the conflict. He had instead actually returned to his car, with the sole purpose of retrieving his pistol, which he would then use to shoot Maritza over and over and over again, all while the camera was still rolling.
Shit, yo! I mean, bro, I'm not even watching this shit. This is fucking cooked up. What the fuck? I'm not even gonna fucking watch this shit.
The fuck?
Where am I? What funeral home am I?
¿Cómo se llama esto?
Bro, I don't give a fuck. I'm not gonna risk it. Any closer though.
Maritza would be shot a total of 12 times, and in turn her life would come to an end, as Nunez stood over her yelling, "I should have done this a long time ago." When the smoke cleared, Nunez would be arrested and sentenced to life.
Grayson! Became a member for 6 months? Let's go.
With a possibility of parole in 25 years. And what's most frustrating is just how avoidable this really seemed to be.
That's insane.
Maritza herself had actually requested a restraining order against Nunez, not
Hi,
long
Master
before
Nelm.
her murder,
What up, Grayson?
but was surprisingly denied, as police stated that it would only anger him more. With this happening despite the fact that police were already well aware of Nunez's violent temper, as authorities were literally called on scene for Yuandra's funeral, as Nunez had threatened to kill other members of the family. He was obviously a very troubled man, who following the loss of his daughter, needed help more than anything. Yet even after all this one news station decided to not only platform him, but to provoke him.
I remember
right
you,
before the
Grayson,
two
of
had
course.
crossed paths, leaving us with one of the darkest moments to ever transpire in the history of television. I just wanted to let you guys know that I have the less censored version of these videos on Patreon, as YouTube has been pretty strict with my channel lately. And also I wanted to mention that my friend Nexpo and I have a joint clothing line, and
oh my god.
I enjoyed the video.
That was crazy.
I enjoyed the video, like, you know? I enjoyed.
That was crazy. I enjoyed that video too. Should we do another video? Chat? Or play some Overwatch? We want. Another video or Overwatch? Which one? Chat. Overwatch. Alright, we can do Overwatch. Alright, let's do this. How are you, Grayson? Good win.
Now arriving at Lijiang Tower. Prepare for battle.
Good? Nice. That's good to hear.
The world is a dream not yet realized.
Stretching.
Coming, so let's give it to them. Five, four, three, two, one. Round
How's this?
one. Calculation will cost you everything.
Hostiles approach. I will give you shelter.
Gotta get this brig. What? Damn.
I will tear victory from your grasp.
What can we do, team, to help out? I don't think going that way is the play, Ram.
I just played myself.
Now do you see your error?
Hey, bro.
Can I get a tank?
It's go time.
Your miscalculations will cost you everything.
Let the Kitsune guide you.
Where's this Lucio at? Oh! Killing. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Good round. Can't believe we won that.
1-0.
Seems like pretty center, right?
We must all find a cause worth fighting for.
For the moment, we have a common purpose. Let's focus on that.
I think that's better.
Don't go easy. Let's bring this home.
Get ready for a fight. Enemy here.
Hey, can we get someone that can actually walk us in? Please. Oh my god. Where's my tank at? Yeah.
It's go time.
This guy bitches a lot.
Score 1-1. The best laid plans have backup plans.
We're in for a smooth ride,
shield you
right?
for now.
Right?
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Round 3. Capture the objective.
Dude, can you please go fucking... Sorry, you're getting countered. You shouldn't be getting countered, but you are.
They're just not staying with me.
Come on.
Stand with me. Hostiles approach. I will speak to you in the language you understand. Violence.
I just got played. I hate to say it. Like a fucking fiddle. I walked out. Lucio baited me.
This is dude getting carried.
You've been through so many fucking times in this game, it's fucking funny.
Disrupted. Nothing gets past me. Nerf this.
You're welcome, dude. Huge 7k damage is for him.
You love me, baby.
Fuck these guys. Bugging. That kid was bitching like crazy. Uh-oh. Here we go. This is good. Alright, let's do this. Let me just see something quick.
Y'all saw team.
That's all I need to know.
Alright, cool. Sick.
We will have peace at any cost.
Hey, you rob any trains in your day? You're supposed to stop them first.
I do stop them. I think my problem is that I stop them little too far.
3, 2, 1.
It's not fun going alone. What are you talking about? I mean, yeah, you get games like the some of the last ones. Like, it's just a meme game. Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. Somber. Are we gonna peek me? I can't. If you can res, I can heal you. Somber behind us still. We get yeah, we're okay. Yeah, I'm gonna swap after I ult. I think we need the. Careful, we're not a team. We're not group. Okay.
Okay, we gotta drop on. We gotta fight. Not let them get the point. Like, is it fucking me?
Yeah, we're getting we're getting dominated by their dive. Yeah, we gotta be give her back up. She's got an EMP.
Holy crap.
I got you, I got you, you're fine. I'm fine, Mercy, I'm fine. You can do it. Devo top, Devo top.
Nice job. Just so low.
I found her. Keep pushing current, yeah.
Two supports in front of us.
Yeah, just collapse on point, collapse on point.
Yep.
We've got tree.
Nice, we got the loot. Diva one,
She's
nice. Keep moving.
Sombra down here.
Pull back, they got that ult.
Tracer does not have ult.
Nice.
Oh, okay. Still have tree.
Heroes never die.
She has EMP, yeah? Oh. There it is. It's fine, I'm gonna tree. Get away from EMP. Get this diva. I'm gonna pull you out for a second to live. Get this May. It's fine, just regroup. I think I stay Life Weaver? Yeah?
Yeah, you're doing good, man.
I think it's working. I think it's okay. Unless we need more heals. I can swap for more heals, but... Hold on, I'm almost to you guys. Hold on. Please be careful.
Play this corner. He heals.
You're gonna take you out of your ult.
Oh shit!
We need you. We need you. Sorry, I was gonna cancel.
Nah, you're good. Not used to that yet.
Reloading. Somebody's right here. Somebody's in here. Gotta reload. Come up here.
Alright.
Keep this up here. We need to sustain some high ground here. I got tree again. Yo, this diva just has an absolute death wish. What is she doing?
Let's walk up. I'm walking up.
Diva.
Yep, I'm on her. Run away. What?
She EMP'd that? Reaper, stay there. Reaper, stay there. Someone's up here. Oh no, Ram, no. You can res from there? Wow. Oh, you got it. Oh, you're insane. They do not have EMP. They don't have bomb.
I'm just tanking them off right now. I'm running.
They have a lever. Oh, they have a lever. The DPS.
Yeah, this game's over. Let's finish this.
Yep. What? There's Zen's right here?
Nice. Stagger him.
Yeah, I got cart if you want to keep pushing. You guys can just take shortcut. Oh, I was gonna try to pull you in your ult here. I got a tree.
GG.
I was gonna body block him with the tree. GG. My promotion. Let's see what I go to.
You wanna go again?
I think I got one more.
You up?
I clicked the thing. Where'd it go? I clicked it.
Send me an invite. I'm killer.
Oh, where'd it go? Dude, I hate this thing. Why does it disappear?
I hate this thing too. Why does it say player in a group? Oh, I definitely read my name as being Tank, and I was Confusion. Like, I didn't queue as Tank. Hello.
Also, it'd have been weird if this was a plat game and I was Tank. Pretty sure I'm like Diamond something. Yo, we got you, dude. You do that thing, I will do. Zen might still be good here. Yeah, I think so.
Each day I grow stronger. Yet the man in the mirror never appears to change.
Was it who was saying that? Was it last game that someone was saying that Lifeweaver was? No, it was a different game. They were like Lifeweaver's not good.
Lifeweaver is. You just need to be coordinated.
Yeah. It's funny though because he's really good, but that was how I went from Diamond 2 to Plat 4. Was playing Lifeweaver and nobody was able to do anything with it, so we lost.
No, he has like a super high skill ceiling.
It was just wild because what? Yo, yeah, he's really good though. Oh, just break this Ryan shield. Ryan's Discord. I'll keep Carl on the Discord target. Oh, I can't hear that. Ryan's Discord, but keep breaking the Ryan shield. Ryan's Discord again. Oh, we got a good pick. Oh, we get it. Right. Junks. We push. Lucio's Discord, he's half. Okay, that dude's an idiot. They have no res. Yo, Ryan.
Try to get their Mercy.
Yo, he dead.
The Mercy's still up.
What elo is this?
This is low plat, man.
Oh my god, huh? I almost think that was a rhetorical question because these dudes are a bunch of gooses.
That's a first. Never heard that one before.
A goosey.
Bunch of gooses. Yeah, I got a card if you guys want to push. What?
Holy shit, just shredded him. What the hell?
Yeah, I dinked him. Sorry.
Yeah, I got a orb on you, but no, I didn't discord him, but I did hit him with 2 right clicks. Careful, right side. They're just all right side. I got you. I got Trank. Yo, up top, up top. Is it Genji right side? He's Discord. Okay, never mind. He's in spawn. Checking out the view. Yeah, when Sig ults. Oh wait, they just got. No, he's fine. Yo, I got a low IQ.
Oh, Junkrat Mercy up top. Much higher.
I'm not gonna. This is just gonna die. Yeah, I'm not gonna pop.
I traded with him.
Yo, Ryan's Discord.
Resing Junk up top.
Yeah, Junk's up top. He's right here. He's Discord. Yo, he
Ryan's actually low. Ryan's low.
Yo, get in there. He's 1 HP behind us. Mercy, kill him for me. Oh, you actually did.
Nice.
Their Mercy's 1. They got Lucio. Get Lucio.
Yo, I'm almost there with Trank.
They just use beat and hammer. Come on, let's go. They're all low.
Okay, no, Reinhardt dies next. Okay. Bro, what is this free though? Yeah, Junk's Discord, he's right behind Rentry. Yo, just actually Lucio's Discord.
Bro, you keep setting me with a one shot. Fuck, that's scared.
Junk's Discord on top.
Nice jump drop.
He's okay, he's half.
Focus the Mercy.
I got you, dude. I got you, man. I got like 7,000 healing just then. Yo, Lucio's Discord, we just gotta kill him, he's annoying. Actually, it's on Diva,
Mercy 1. Oh shit.
Yeah, we back out, dude. We back out if you can.
Trying to get out.
Misa tinks you die.
We built this house on memory.
That was Diva. No, Diva has bomb. Yeah. No, junk ult though. Can we take high ground?
Sure.
Oh. Yo, Lucio's Discord. Lucio. Oh, we're getting flanked, boys. Yo, this May on me, May. Yo, Diva on our backline, Diva. Baby Diva's almost dead. Oh, that was a fat ult, dude. Yep, he ran alive. Lucio's Discord, Mace Discord.
Nice.
Reaper's up.
Good work.
Can we get 3 on real quick?
Yep, I'm walking to it. I'm just super slow. He was Discord, he just body blocked it.
Diva's low.
Maybe Diva's Discord, I think. Now she is. Okay. Yo, keep pushing. They got you. Oh, they got.
We're on.
Lucio's over there. I got car. Go ahead. I got Trank. I'm gonna save it for May ult.
Nice.
I'll pop it if. Well, I tried to get you. We should be able to res that?
Yeah, we got res. Nice.
Diva's Discord? Actually, no, Mercy's Discord. Diva Discord.
Jump up top.
Or Lucio's one. Lucio's dead. Go for the Mercy.
Baby Diva, baby Diva, baby Diva, Discord. Oh, Mercy, 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 Discord. Oh, Junk is the one. Alright, he was half.
Damn.
That's alright. I might swap. I'm gonna swap right now to Anna.
Close to Annihilation.
That's hot. Hey, McCree up here. McCree, top left.
Top right, junk.
Both are DPS or high ground.
I'm walking in.
Free drop, free drop.
It's super low.
I'm gonna look at top ult.
Junk slow, top right.
Gonna drop faster.
I gotta reload in a second.
Mercy one.
Reloading now. Oh, I slept somebody. I slept Lucio. Come back out in the open, come back out in the open. Main lane, main lane. Yep.
Diva's out of mech. That's huge. Come on.
Junk on me. Junk's asleep. Just keep pushing cards.
It's the Diva out of mech.
Go careful, Mercy, careful.
Mercy, don't let her rest.
Freeze one.
Oh.
Hold on. I'm reloading.
Diva!
She didn't have bomb? I thought she had bomb.
Versus one. Just go. Just go.
Let's fucking go!
Exploding asshole.
That's good work right there.
Hello?
Switching sides. Prepare your defenses. Select
Who
your
are you thinking of going? I wonder if I go Kiriko here. Because they might go Anna. That's gonna
It's
hurt.
always pretty nice. Should I go like Sim? Do you think they're gonna keep playing Diva? I mean, probably if I'm on the Bastion, but
You can go Sim. Sim's always good here.
okay.
We will have peace at any cost.
Stay close. I can't heal you if you stray.
They have us coming, so I'm giving to them.
This should be interesting.
Hey there. Hi. Hey. Hey.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
Waiting.
Defend objective A. Oh, and that's huge.
Sick.
Nice.
Anna.
Oh my.
That looks so handsome.
I was a little late. Tried to stop the grenade, but
Diva's coming in. She's flying.
I got no
Yo,
grenade.
those turrets are devastating.
Dude, with the move back into it.
Free left, free left. Okay, I have no grenade.
Mercy dead. Junk
Oh shit. Got
Junk
Oh,
burning.
Crease half in here.
Junk dead.
Diva one.
Got you,
Baby
baby.
Mercy.
I'm walking in.
I have no grenade. I have no grenade.
I just want the Diva pick. Minute trap. I'm pulling out. I'm walking out. Just trying to charge my ult.
Jump bottom left. Jump bottom left.
Diva's in. Diva broke through.
Yeah, Junk dead.
I'll have a wall. When
I have annihilation. Popping it. I got 1, 2. Go for mercy. Go for mercy. Good work. Kill the Diva. She's got a mech. Don't still top.
Hold on, mercy. Hold on, mercy. Oh. I got you. I got you. Yo, I'm taking a quick nap. Read me a bedtime story. Wow.
Bedtime story.
Right now. Nobody read me a bedtime story. I was taking a nap. I got Kitsune Rush. Yeah, they keep sending their DPS in this left room.
Oh, they're on monkey now.
There's that crate.
Monkey point.
I'm popping it right now. Just pop this. Yeah, just.
Honest one. Nice.
Junk 1. Mercy's up top.
Did I cancel that?
Monkey.
I did, right?
Got him.
Yes, sir, ski.
Hello. Take everything from them.
Yeah, Kree left side. Okay, monkey, no jump. He's gonna jump for me next. Yep.
I got annihilation.
Oh, I'm trying to keep you up. Get out of the bubble. Get out of the bubble for heals.
Oh, monkey's one. Nice.
What happened?
Oh my god, thank you, Mercy.
Don't matter.
Junk right in the back, junk right in the back. Shit.
Oh my god.
Yeah, kid.
How'd you? I don't even know what's happening anymore.
Yeah, kid. Ah! Or like that. I like that. I like that.
That's hard.
Enjoy the video. You know, like, chat, is this good?
July 29th, 2019, patrons file into a busy bar in downtown LA for the start of an always entertaining open mic night. You never know what types of performances you'll get on nights like these, or what kind of people will grace the stage with their presence. And on this particular evening, patrons would bear witness to one of the strangest acts they'd likely ever seen, and it was performed by a man named Robert Camus.
Joe Rogan?
Where's your funny face? Make funny face.
Interestingly, Robert has a long history here across YouTube, being featured in what seems like countless videos performing skateboarding tricks with a group of friends. But on this night, Robert was ready to show off.
That was sick. He did that on the ripstick, bro. What the fuck?
Long history here across YouTube, being featured in what seems like countless videos performing skateboarding tricks with a group of friends. But on this night, Robert was ready to show off another skill of his, as he took to the stage to perform a freestyle rap.
What is this? Like the rat right here. I'm gonna get your into this house. Fucking cut the EMP off my fucking leg and then I'm out.
Starting out, the performance was, well, a little shaky to put it nicely, which was at least partially to blame on Robert's apparent drunken state. But a bad night of karaoke in isolation is nothing all that noteworthy. In fact, despite the lethal doses of cringe, many would actually view this as a great time, a funny memory, and even respect Robert for being so willing to go up there and just give it a try. However, his performance wasn't quite finished yet, and after fumbling his way through the beginning of the song, Robert's lyrics take an unexpected turn.
My fucking leg and then I'm out. Motherfucker, you don't even know my fucking news. I killed my bitch and buried that bitch in the fucking dirt. And I'm out because the cops trying to look for me and I'm fucking trying to jump.
The messy video shows Robert as he raps the line, "I killed my bitch and buried that bitch in the fucking dirt," before muttering that he has to leave because the cops are looking for him. It was a bizarre moment to say the least, and despite many in the crowd trying to play off the line as a joke, with the MC even saying that it was an Eminem-inspired performance, others in the audience were more visibly concerned, and as it turns out, they had every right to be.
Well, we're inside this bar, the King Eddie bar. This is where Camus was standing when he did this rap version. And I guess the big question is, was it a confession?
Parked out front of the establishment was Robert's gray Prius, and in the trunk of this Prius was a shovel, along with fresh dirt and fresh blood. Blood that belonged to his girlfriend, Amanda Custer. And coincidentally, that very day, Amanda Custer had been reported as missing after a neighbor had witnessed Robert carrying her limp body and placing it in the trunk of his car before driving off, only to emerge hours later, alone at this open mic night. In the moment, a bizarre performance was all this seemed to be, but today, many refer to this rap as being an actual confession, and in the end, this footage would ultimately be used in court and lead to Robert's conviction for the murder of Amanda Custer, even though to this very day, her body has never been found. But if the words of Robert are to be believed, then it's sadly very likely that she's out there somewhere, buried deep in the dirt.
Now, if you've seen Amanda,
actually, psychos would like usually try to get like a deal, or whatever. So like if they like help them find the body, like he gets like a little bit of small, tiny bit like leniency, whatever. Why didn't I don't get it. I mean, because I watch a lot of this shit. A lot of times they're like, "Yo, dude, like find this shit, whatever," and then they do.
the Custer police want to hear
It has
from
been
you.
3
True
days
slightly.
since Amanda
Yeah, it's not. He maintained not getting maybe. Yeah, he didn't cooperate. Makes sense. I know there is.
But remember, people have to learn how to swim. It's great fun though, and something you can do with all of your friends.
During the summer of 2022 in Karei Yosef, Israel, a popular corporate villa had been rented out by a local marketing agency to host a company event. The location was highly sought after due to
I
its
have those
large
arguments, right?
outdoor pool area, making it the perfect spot for employees to unwind and connect outside of their
Wait, 8
typical
notifications.
working environment. And on this day, the 21st of July, 50 employees of this company would gather at the party to enjoy the hot summer sun and the cool water of the pool. And by all accounts, the party had been going off without a hitch. Until it happened.
What happened?
As unsuspecting partygoers were hanging in and around the pool, some began to notice that the water level appeared to be receding, with one keen witness pulling out their phone to record the unfolding ordeal.
Oh shit.
But just as they hit that record button, things would fall into complete chaos.
וואו, יש בולען בבריכה, קררה. מישהו צילם את זה? הטיקטוק
Suddenly, a large sinkhole opens up beneath
Yo,
the
what
pool,
happened?
in turn creating a massive...
Sorry, yo, dude, I got fucked up at a party at one time, and I slept at somebody's place, and he gave me my t-shirt back. Yo, I'm happy, man. I forgot I even did that.
Massive vortex
nice.
and an impossibly strong current, dragging essentially everything in its path down towards the opening. And within mere seconds, the pool, once completely filled with water, had become completely barren, with even the pool floats disappearing beneath the surface of the earth. Luckily, at the time there were only about 6 partygoers in the pool, and 3 of them had immediately made their way to safety, but one man could be seen standing dangerously close to the newly formed crater, even slipping and falling to the ground just inches away from being pulled into its opening.
What Xqc'S is saying is that he
Thankfully,
slept with
he
some
too
guy
had
and he
managed to
brought
make his way
shirt
to
back for
safety,
him.
but the 2 others weren't so lucky, as in the moments immediately before this video began, they had been sucked into the depths of the sinkhole. Of the 2, one would be able to quickly pull his way to safety, while the other was nowhere to be found. As rescuers made their way to the scene and attempted to enter the hole, it was discovered that it was far deeper than anyone could have imagined, with later reports showing that the pit was a staggering 43 feet deep, with the entire opening being filled with water. And the missing swimmer, 32-year-old Khalil Kimhi, was trapped at the very bottom.
Oh my god.
It would take 4 grueling hours of navigating that claustrophobic grave to finally reach Khalil, who by that point was sadly long gone, having likely already perished by the time rescuers even reached the scene, passing away in what must have been one of the most horrifying ways imaginable.
No, it wasn't my boyfriend.
After all was said and done, it was revealed that the owner of the villa had built the pool in an unsafe location, and had done so without a permit, leading to charges of negligent manslaughter. And though this event was no doubt a tragedy, it's easy to see just how much worse this could have been if more people had been in that pool at the time.
Wait, what the
And what
fuck?
truly haunts me the most about this clip is just how unexpected it was. One minute you're enjoying a beautiful swimming pool, and the next, you're trapped 40 feet beneath the earth, drowning with no chance of survival. All because of a freak phenomenon that is entirely unpredictable.
That is crazy.
Wait, was there a cave under? And a cave in?
1,800 pounds to the square inch and emerges in 50-pound blocks of dry ice. When placed in liquid, it returns to its
A
original
sinkhole.
gas. Desert ice is really
Oh, and then
hot
it
stuff.
disappeared.
From one pool party to another, this next clip takes us to Moscow, Russia in February of 2020, where an influencer named Ekaterina Didenko was preparing to celebrate her 29th birthday. Just a few years prior, Ekaterina had graduated from medical school, earning her the title of pharmacist. But rather than going the traditional route and pursuing a career in pharmacy, she instead chose to use her expertise to start a blog focused on creating homemade medicines in order to save her viewers trips to the pharmacy. This type of content is nothing new, and in most cases it's highly controversial, and Ekaterina was no exception to this, with many calling her practices and advice potentially dangerous. This, however, did not stop her from amassing a following of over 1 million people, which was spread out across her Instagram page along with other platforms. And despite her content being controversial in nature, she quickly carved out a legitimate career as an influencer by 2020. And with her birthday approaching on the 28th of February, she wanted to throw the perfect party to show off to all of her followers. Helping plan the night was Ekaterina's husband, Valentin Didenko, who was on board to make the evening as grand as possible.
Lasagna?
And Valentin had the perfect plan, something he called a steam show. Previously, the couple had booked a venue to accommodate all their guests, with one of the most appealing amenities being its swimming pool, and using his limited knowledge of science, along with inspiration from a somewhat viral trend at the time, Valentin thought of a way to turn that ordinary pool room into something extraordinary. By using dry ice to fill the entire room with steam, as dry ice combined with water creates an immediate dense fog, in turn creating his steam show. And so, as the party was going on and guests were having a great time, Valentin decided to reveal the main event, and brought all the partygoers into the room, giving them gowns and goggles to wear, before dumping a box full of dry ice into the water.
Oh my god! Oh my god, Paul! Water! You're crazy!
Материал.
What?
Только что обновленный. В газообразное состояние.
Bro? It's gonna fall in it.
Instantly, the pool disappears within a cloud of gas, creating the incredible show that both Ekaterina and Valentin had dreamed of, with Ekaterina herself pulling out her phone to record the moment. And quickly, it became apparent that the pool wasn't just for show, as Valentin himself suddenly dives into the mist, disappearing within its hidden water. Disappearing. The pool wasn't just for show, as Valentin himself suddenly dives into the mist, disappearing within its hidden water.
Wait. Bro?
But there was just one problem. The chemical reaction that happens when dry ice and water connects doesn't just cause the formation of mist. It causes the formation of carbon dioxide that is produced in such a highly concentrated form that it appears as fog.
Okay.
That the cloud we are seeing here is made entirely of straight CO2, which in such high concentration is toxic to humans, with it causing shortness of breath and eventual asphyxiation. And though Ekaterina's recording shows the group having the time of their lives, no one realized that when that dry ice was placed in the pool, it had in turn placed all of their lives in danger. Making matters worse, Valentin wanted the show to be as long-lasting as possible, and in turn ordered the doors to be closed.
Chat, with how concentrated this is, right? If they all took like 2 puffs of air, right? They could have just all passed out and just died there, right?
In order to keep that fog inside the small room, meaning that there was very little ventilation to filter out this toxic gas, making the levels of CO2 not just very dangerous, but incredibly deadly. And Valentin had just dove directly into its heart.
I could probably survive that.
Come on, bro. That is very funny. You know, guy.
Jesus, GG.
He would break the surface just one time after this, and although the crowd cheers him on, believing he's just splashing around and having some fun, at this moment, his lungs were filling with fluid, and he was suffocating to death, as below the water he was drowning, and on its surface he was suffocating. He was trapped, with the only outcome being death. Ekaterina then turns the camera on herself, revealing another man entering the water, as she's laughing and yelling in amusement. And behind her, all of her friends are seen recording the ordeal, oblivious to the fact that Valentin was now dying at the bottom of the pool. They were far too distracted trying to get the perfect shot for their own social media pages. In the end, it truly was the spectacle that Valentin and Ekaterina had dreamed of. Shortly after the recording had ended, partygoers would finally realize that something was terribly wrong, as some began to experience shortness of breath that eventually caused them to pass out. Meanwhile, others began to feel sharp pains throughout their body that were eventually learned to be the result of chemical burns. Once the room was finally evacuated, 3 partygoers would be unaccounted for, as Natalia Manakova, Yuri Elfarov, and Valentin were left in the foggy room, dead at the bottom of the pool.
Wait, should we jump too?
What should have been the perfect day for Ekaterina had instead ended with her becoming a widow. And as off-putting as this video is, many would point to Ekaterina's behavior following the incident as even more unusual. Immediately after the incident occurred, Ekaterina would start her grieving process by posting this video for the world to see, and subsequently vlogging her experience at the hospital and documenting the death of her husband.
Bro? No, bro. Don't say this is content brain. This is not what content brain is, bro.
It was admittedly a bit bizarre,
that's all
as many accused her of exploiting the death of her husband to gain internet followers, with further questions being posed as to why she hadn't considered the deadly effects of dry ice and water, as after all, she was an expert in the field of science. The scrutiny towards Ekaterina became so intense at one point that Russian authorities launched an investigation into her actions, claiming that it may be possible to charge her for causing death by negligence, though to my knowledge, nothing ever came of this. Just 5 whole months after the incident, Ekaterina would remarry, with those initial posts documenting the death of her first husband, leading to her gaining an additional 500,000 followers.
Deep inside this vertical city, a machine has come to life. A machine with a terrible secret.
Bro!
God's sake, take the
Wait, the real fact behind this video is that she literally created a fucking scenario and she just killed people. Yeah, I get it. Accidental, maybe. She killed them and then she posted a video about them dying. Like, what the fuck?
It's made all the more disturbing due to what they could or couldn't see on the cameras after that. Upon exiting the elevator, the pair are seen walking down the hallway on floor 11 in this grainy footage recaptured by the man's cell phone, with the two heading in the general direction of the stairwell, which also happened to be the sole entrance to the roof. And from there, the two aren't seen again. Noting this, the manager immediately began fearing the worst, as their bizarre behavior coupled with the route seemingly leading to the roof could only mean one thing. And quickly, the police were called for what they believed to be a cleanup job, figuring that the two had jumped off the roof. This belief was further fueled by the woman's actions in the elevator, as removing one's shoe prior to is apparently a somewhat common thing in Asian countries, as they don't want to track dirt into the afterlife. However, once officers arrived on scene and searched the entire perimeter of the building, there was no sign of the mother and daughter, not even a single trace of blood, meaning they couldn't possibly have jumped. Police would then look through the entirety of the footage and review the positioning of the cameras, only to determine that virtually all exits were covered by the watchful eyes of their CCTV. If these two had left the building, they would surely have the footage to prove it. Though while sifting through the entire night, this moment was the last they'd ever be seen on camera. So if they hadn't jumped and if they hadn't left, then they must be somewhere in the building, they thought, which led to a full-scale search of the complex. With officers going door to door searching every nook and cranny. However, while asking around, not a single resident had seen the pair that night, or even heard them for that matter. And when their initial sweep was concluded, the police would be left empty-handed, only uncovering just a few set of clues. For starters, they would find the clothes and shoes left behind on the elevator, and they would also find the woman's moped, which she had driven to the building. And finally, they would find a single suitcase, found vacant on the top steps leading to the roof. Police would go on to describe this piece of luggage as suspicious, but never revealed its true contents. In fact, following an initial report, they would never give confirmation as to whether it was involved in this case or not. Either way, it led them to a dead end, as they believed these two could not have possibly left that building, though at the same time, they clearly weren't there. Multiple times after this, the building would be searched and searched and searched again, even as recently as 2013, when they would go as far as to check the water pipes and even the water tank itself, which was inspired by an unfolding case of a similar nature halfway across the world. But no trace of the—
I thought that was it. I thought this story was that story.
Which was inspired by an unfolding case of a similar nature
I've heard about
halfway
that.
across the world.
That is weird.
But no trace of the pair was ever discovered. Immediately after this footage was taken, these two vanished into thin air. Following the disappearance, local news would broadcast the footage where a man named Zhang would come forward stating that this was his wife and 4-year-old daughter. The woman's surname was Leo, and the pair had 4 children together, though their relationship was anything but perfect. Multiple reports claim that on that very night, the two had gotten into an argument, with some going as far as to say that Zhang had actually abused her, causing her to leave the home in a hurry, grabbing only their youngest daughter.
Whoa, chill.
Meanwhile, their eldest daughter would go on record stating that Leo had told her that they were going to visit a friend's house just for a few days, only
what the fuck is this speculation? Like, chill the fuck out, bro.
To never return. Despite the significance of discovering the identity of this woman and her daughter, it would ultimately fail to help solve the case, as there have been no sightings of these two since this moment, turning this into one of Taiwan's most mysterious cases.
Bro, I guess there's like thousands of... I guess there's a couple reasons why... let's say if I think they have multiple children. Let's say it was like his favorite. Well, if she really wants to get back at him, whatever, right? And she would do that, and she'd be like, that's fucked up. But yeah,
this is
it
of
could be
all
a motive.
time.
No?
And in the region, 3 major theories have emerged. First, many locals in the area believe that something otherworldly happened to these two, with one resident at the time stating, "I think they entered another time and space." This belief is actually so strong that even as of just a few years ago, that 11th floor is practically left vacant, as the only remaining family on that floor claims that everyone moved out of fear of the supernatural surrounding the incident.
Jesus.
What?
Another long-lasting theory was that the two were still somewhere in the building, having potentially taken their lives or just gotten stuck there. And officials believed this for years after the case, assuming that eventually someone would happen upon them. Though that day has never come, and due to the extreme summer heat in the region, it's likely that the smell alone would have led to their discovery by now.
Yeah, true.
Which brings us to our third theory, that somehow the two had actually managed to leave the building without detection. Due to the camera positioning in the hotel, this seems rather unlikely, but some claim that there is a specific route that potentially could have provided just enough cover for them to avoid all the cameras. But this would have had to have been precise and seemingly deliberate. What makes this so strange, though, is that Leo apparently had limited to no knowledge of this building beforehand, begging the question how she could navigate in such an efficient manner, or why she would want to for that matter. And this is far from the only questions regarding this. Like, why would she even enter this building to begin with if she was just going to leave? And why go to that 11th floor in particular and remove those articles of clothing?
Wait, 5 head! Wait a minute. What if she wanted to escape?
What the fuck?
Her husband's grasp or something like that? and get one under the child and live a new life. Then she goes to the top, takes her shoes off, faking death, right? She studied all the camera angles because she doesn't live there, right? So they wouldn't think that she would do that. Then she studied all the camera angles, all the footage, all the blueprints and shit, and fakes death, changes country, boom, +1 child, +1 life.
11th floor in particular, and remove those articles of clothing. And maybe most importantly of all, if she had somehow snuck around those cameras, how had she or her child never been seen again? Nothing about this case makes any sense, and honestly what happened to these two at this point is anyone's guess, as this is practically all the information available on their disappearance.
Well, let's run away because that's a
Since
kidnapping.
then, there have been no sightings, no use of their health insurance, no use of their bank accounts, and their daughter's records show that she has never been enrolled to another school. It's almost as if they evaporated into that cold night air. Part of me hopes that this was all an attempt to flee an abusive relationship, and that somehow this was all just a distraction for these two to escape and start a new life elsewhere, which could explain that supposed friend they were going to meet, why they shed their coats, and how they managed to sneak out of there in the first place. But things of that nature are easier said than done, and I can't help but get a sinking feeling that they are no longer with us, as surely at some point, some trace of them would have appeared by now. But unfortunately, an absolute conclusion is something that perhaps we may never get. And instead, we're simply left with this chilling video, which is undoubtedly one of YouTube's darkest.
She seems determined. I'm making shit up. My right ear is lonely.
The celebration was well underway. December 5th, 2009 marked the 8-year anniversary of the beloved Lame Horse, a roughly 5,000 square foot nightclub located in Perm, Russia.
Oh, this one is terrible.
On the evening of the 4th, the
Lame
club began
Horse.
to fill with partygoers keen on joining in on the massive party. To commemorate the night, a cameraman and an interviewer would be on scene to document the events of that evening, which they did by first speaking to patrons as they roamed the club, getting their thoughts and opinions on the celebration. The night all seemed to be in good fun, and it was only just beginning for most, with the party set to go all throughout the night, and as the recording continues, it's clear that the club had big plans to bring in this new year. Following the interviews, the footage shows us a view of the dance floor, which was occupied by a group of performers who had been hired to energize the crowd and further build the hype of the night. The organizers had even hired an MC for the evening, whose job was to keep the party alive. By this point, over 300 people had made their way into the building, as the MC continues the show by joking around with two young women, who were clearly guests of the bar, with the cameraman fixing his lens on the three as the crowd watches on in amusement.
Wait, I thought this was gonna be the fire one.
But it's at this exact moment that the camera unintentionally catches something far more interesting. Something that could easily be missed, as it seemed so unimportant in the moment. While everyone's eyes are fixed forward at the show before them, this woman, standing on the far right of the camera, barely occupying a sliver of the frame, casually turns her head, only for her eyes to lock onto something behind her, and noticing the woman's bizarre reaction, the cameraman follows her lead and turns the camera in the same direction, revealing this.
What?
Huh?
Oh yeah, I knew it. It's the fire one. I knew it.
Unbeknownst to pretty much everyone in the club at that time, a spark from the show's pyrotechnics had made contact with the club's ceiling, which was covered in decorative twigs for the party, and within a split second, a fire would erupt. The initial shock caused many to freeze in place for precious seconds, unable to comprehend what exactly was happening, and it wasn't until the MC, the same one in charge of keeping that party alive, began to shout, "Ladies and gentlemen, guests of the club, we are on fire, please leave the hall," that the patrons would finally unfreeze. Following this announcement, the crowd flew into a panic, desperately making their way to the exit, which is where the first fatal issue arose. The club supposedly had 2 exits, one through the front door and the other located behind the stage. However, that second exit had no signs indicating where it was, meaning that practically no one in the room knew that it was even there. Because of this, most of the patrons began pushing towards that one main exit.
That's fucking cooked.
Upon making his way into the hallway, the cameraman reveals the exit and, in turn, another devastating issue. In order to control the crowd going into the venue earlier that night, one of the 2 doors at the front entrance was locked, meaning that this small opening was the only means of escape for the 300+ people trapped inside. And to make matters worse, by this point, the entire venue was now shrouded in smoke.
Oh my god.
Scary, yeah.
As so many people were attempting to fit through that small exit, they became stuck, causing a logjam and in turn, a human crush. And the more people desperately tried to push through that door, the more jammed it became. Meanwhile, those still trapped on the dance floor were left hopelessly lost in that impenetrable smoke.
Ah, fuck that.
And within the mob of people rushing towards that exit, the camera suddenly goes dark before shutting off completely.
Chat, just as a learning thing, what do you do if this happens? It's full of smoke and you don't know where to go. What?
Oh my god, nah, fuck
smoke,
this.
causing a logjam and in turn, a human crush. And the more people desperately tried to push through that door, the more jammed it became. Meanwhile, those still trapped on the dance floor were left hopelessly lost in that impenetrable smoke. And within the mob of people rushing towards that exit, the camera suddenly goes dark before shutting off completely.
Chat, just as a learning thing, what do you do if this happens? It's
This
full
is
of
so
smoke
fucked.
and you don't know where to go. What can you do? Best thing you can do. Crawl. My fire codes was
Somehow,
1 point
the
and shit.
cameraman, along with multiple others, were able to squeeze their way out of the exit, as evident when the camera begins to record sometime later. This time in the middle of the road, revealing hints of the havoc that was occurring both inside and outside of the club.
Jesus.
But tragically, this is where one last fatal factor was added to the equation, which was highlighted by a quote from a survivor and one of the very first people to escape the club. After I got out, there were no firemen or emergency services for about 20 minutes. Nobody at all. There were only 2 ambulances altogether. They managed to take 6 or 7 men and left. No more ambulance cars arrived, at least I saw none. Firemen had pulled out a number of people by then. Half clothed, they were simply laid out on the cold asphalt. Nobody cared for them. People were lying on the ground for about an hour and a half, definitely for no less than an hour. It could be that many of them died because of this, because of the cold.
Bro?
It was 16 degrees below zero outdoors. In what has since been heavily criticized, and rightfully so, the emergency response team only fueled the intensity of this disaster, as many of those trapped inside were left to their own devices, and those who were rescued were laid out on the street with severe injuries, and most of their clothes burned off, forced to lie there unable to move for over an hour in the freezing cold. It's unknown how many deaths were caused by this alone, but if these first-hand accounts are to be believed, it's likely that many were. Not only had the venue itself failed these victims, but the emergency response team had as well. Ultimately, 101 people would die on the scene that day, and an additional 55 perished later in the hospital, with the catastrophe amassing a death toll of 156 total people, making it the deadliest fire in Russia since the fall of the Soviet Union. The footage from that night, taken before, during, and after the event, truly account for some of the most disturbing on this site, but 2 moments in particular have always stuck in my mind, the first being that initial stunned reaction from the lady just off screen, as she had noticed what was transpiring before anyone else, and the other being that first reveal of the small fire on the ceiling that would so quickly and so savagely engulf the entire building and claim the lives of so many.
But the thing is just saying, probably not you or you, but this guy.
I wanted to briefly mention that I have brand new Patreon tiers, and now for just $3 a month.
That was a good documentary. I enjoy this guy's. I think this guy's storytelling is pretty decent.
I think he's decent too.
Because he has so limited.
Is there more?
What?
Even staring at the house for hence the repeating phrases. Video is haunting and could have been so much worse had that door been opened.
Are you sure?
I feel like everyone's out to get me.
This is
Bro, there's something chilling, dude. Even when they're like skinny or lanky, whatever, dude, right? That's way more scarier than like big dudes or whatever the fuck. People that look ill as fuck and do unpredictable, because they're unpredictable. You don't know what they're gonna do. You have no idea. Is he gonna charge at you and shit like that? Is he gonna charge at you with some stick or something? You don't know what he's gonna do.
Oh
YouTube is a site that draws in people from all walks of life, each with their own unique motivation for starting up their channels. Some are in it for the money and the fame, while others are in it for the love of creating content. But sprinkled throughout the site are a select few who come here to feel heard and to get something off their chest. Something that for 27-year-old Tebebe Mukanin would be his primary motivation for posting his first and only video on March 17th, 2018. Tebebe had struggled his whole life with mental illness, suffering from both schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. These mental illnesses led to an event in 2013 where he would wander off from his home unprovoked. Outside, he began to walk for miles, essentially in a daze, before finding himself in what he described as a very dangerous part of town. Thankfully, Tebebe would be safely found before anything had happened to him, but this incident would prove to be life-changing, as it would lead to his hospitalization due to his unpredictable and dangerous behavior. This would also start a long spell of being given heavy medication to help with his schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. Over the course of the next 4 years, Tebebe would find himself in and out of the hospital and prescribed a variety of powerful antipsychotic drugs.
That's so bad.
Something that would consume his life as he felt like he was no longer in control of his actions. And feeling trapped, he would turn to YouTube to share his story.
Hello, this is Tebebe Mukanin.
Hold on, because I don't know the video too much, okay? There's a guy in my neighborhood when I was young who was convicted of something, and then he did like plead insanity or something like that, and he was on these drugs, and the dude would walk in shoes or sandals that were all the way worn out to where both his feet were touching the ground. So his foot was bowing through the shoes.
Oh my god.
And he was walking all day, all night across the neighborhood. He's just walking. And anytime we see somebody, he'd say, "Yo, dude, you gotta smoke, bro. It's my birthday." He was on a loop. He just wait. You remember? Holy fuck! This guy knows. Holy shit, dude! What the fuck? He knows. Jesus, man, he still does it. Oh, dude, it must have been 15 years now. Holy shit.
I'm talking and putting this video because I wanted to bring awareness to a situation that I'm dealing with that's very painful. I was hospitalized June 25th, 2013. I went there to supposedly get an IV. I ended up being forced to take medication. And it was pure hell. They gave me Haldol, Risperidol, and they were forcing antipsychotics down my throat. It was absolute torture and hell.
In the 10-minute video, Tebebe made it clear that he was not consenting to this medical treatment, and he explained how the medication he was forced to take made him feel like a zombie, even saying that it had gotten so bad that he had thoughts of taking his own life.
It was bad. It was really bad, and I had suicidal ideation.
Throughout the clip, Tebebe comes across as intelligent and well-spoken, but traces of his illness shine through periodically. For instance, he explains how immediately after being released from the hospital on multiple occasions, he would wander away from his home, even attempting to be homeless for a while admitting that he didn't know why this was an issue, or why it would always lead to him going back to the hospital.
I got off, and I think I had another episode as they like to say, where I said I wanted to be homeless. That's it. All I said was I wanted to be homeless. So, and I proceeded to be homeless. And next thing I know, the cops came and they arrested me and they took me back to the hospital. Then after that, I left and I tried to be homeless again, and I was hospitalized again.
But things would
That's
be
just really
further
sad, yes.
escalated as Tabebe casually explains how he has
What the
violent
fuck?
outbursts, even resorting to punching multiple people who were trying to give him medication, as well as starving himself in retaliation.
So I started getting violent, and I started punching people, and I started attacking people in the hospital, and they had to tie me down. I began to lash out like, I'm going to protest this. I'm going to starve myself as a way of hopefully stopping this ridiculous forced treatment for absolutely nothing.
And by the end of the video, Tabebe flat out explains that he does not have any sort of mental illness, or have any symptoms for that matter, calling what was happening to him an injustice.
I guess I'm just trying to let you guys know
That is
the
fucked,
injustice that goes on.
It's a truly depressing situation, as on one hand he is being forced to take medication that essentially makes him feel dead inside, while on the other hand it seems very apparent that treatment is necessary to not only keep others around him, but himself safe, as he doesn't seem fully aware of how serious some of his actions are. Tabebe concluded the video by asking those watching what they thought of his situation, and though it didn't garner many views, a select few would stumble upon it and agree with his stance that the treatment he was receiving was unlawful, with many insinuating that he should continue to protest and not take his medication. These comments are unfortunately no longer available, as
But the
just a few
doctors
weeks ago the video was removed, but they had been reflected across multiple
called it.
sites as people called out the commenters for essentially trying to convince someone to go off his medication cold turkey, and doing so without knowing the true extent of his medical history, which obviously is irresponsible and potentially very dangerous. But unfortunately,
Predators.
these conflicting viewpoints came years later, and in that time surrounding the video's release, Tabebe had likely found the verification he was looking for. He was going to keep protesting his medication. This video would be the first and last that we would ever hear from Tabebe, but it wouldn't be the last we'd hear of him. Just 2 months following the video, Tabebe would make the local news after having an encounter at the hospital. There, a therapist entered his room to talk with him, when suddenly Tabebe snapped, grabbing her and refusing to let go, while performing lewd gestures toward her, and eventually pinning her on the ground, refusing to let her go. The situation led to Tabebe being arrested for sexual battery, but no jail time was ever given, as Tabebe being arrested for sexual battery, but no jail time was ever given, as instead, a plea deal was reached where Tabebe agreed to stay in the hospital, and most importantly,
GG's.
he agreed to go back on his medication and take it as prescribed. It's this note that hints at the idea that he had likely gone off his medication before this incident, something that would have directly led to his violent outburst. And given the event's proximity to the video that he had just posted, and the comments supporting his desire to stop taking his medication, it's not hard to theorize that Tabebe may have cut off his meds due to the advice of his comment section, or at the very least was further convinced that it was the right thing to do.
A little bit of
Regardless,
misinformation.
it seemed clear that the inconsistencies with his medication had caused him to lose control, and this wouldn't be the last time. In the summer of 2019, Tabebe was staying at an Embassy Suites hotel with his mother Zalem Abje, who had been caring for him around the clock. He had been moved there from the hospital as part of his treatment plan, as it kept him close by and easy to monitor regularly,
There's more
but it
to
also
this.
made him free of being cooped up in a hospital room, which clearly he didn't enjoy. The change of scenery was likely supposed to calm Tabebe and his growing anger issues, but unfortunately, his violent outbursts did not stop there. On August 20th at 1:30 a.m., Tabebe would get into an altercation with his mother in their hotel room. It's not clear what had started the arguments, but things would quickly turn physical, as Tabebe started to shove his mother, pushing her so hard that it would knock her out of the room, and then onto their balcony. Their room was on one of the top floors of the hotel, and it overlooked the lobby down below, and in one more violent outburst, Tabebe would give one final push, this time knocking her all the way over the railing, causing her to plummet to the ground below. She did not survive the impact. Tebebe Makanen was arrested at the scene and held at a holding center where he remains to this day awaiting his trial, though his crime is clear and it's likely he will spend the rest of his life either behind bars or in some kind of institution.
Jesus.
The events that happened on that fateful morning are still somewhat unknown to this day, but we do know the events that led up to it, and the years of hurt and anger that Tebebe had built up, as well as his inconsistent and dangerous use of antipsychotics, which, unsurprisingly, it appears that he had again attempted to take himself off of his meds in the time surrounding his murderous fit, with this being used as the likely reason for his behavior that day, something that was telegraphed in one single video, which, looking back, almost foreshadows the tragic events that were soon Looking back, almost foreshadows the tragic events that were soon to come. Events that may have been further spurred on by the viewers watching it.
The true miracle happened right out of a zombie movie.
Huh?
Our next video takes us across the world to the Philippines in mid-July 2014. The story begins on a tragic note as a family says their goodbyes to their 3-year-old daughter. In the days prior, the young girl had developed a severe fever, and without access to an up-to-date medical facility, she would pass away in the morning hours on July 12th. With no pulse and no heartbeat, the little girl was pronounced dead and taken home to prepare for the funeral, which would be held the next day. It was obviously a somber event, as the girl was placed in her casket and the lid was shut. Family members and loved ones gathered around to celebrate the short life of a child who deserved so much more, and watch as she was placed into the ground, which would be her final resting place. But before that would happen, one of the neighbors had been in charge of arranging the young girl's body before burial. Though something strange happened when he went to do so. Inside the coffin, the young girl's head began to move. It was a slight twitch, but in a panic, the neighbor checked for a pulse only to discover that her heart was still beating and the young girl was breathing. One of the family members begins to record as the sudden wave of realization hits that the child was actually alive.
Yo. I'm confused. Did nobody ever check the pulse before?
It's the ultimate case of what if.
Had
that person not opened the casket to reposition the body, then that little girl would have been buried alive, and no one would have ever known. It's a clip that I'm sure many of you have seen by now, as the original video itself has garnered over 1 million views. And topping that, a news station that covered the story currently sits with 25 million views. It's one of the more viral horror stories that I've ever seen on YouTube, as seemingly everyone knows about this infamous video. And rightfully so. I mean, it's one of the craziest stories I have ever seen, both on YouTube or in the news. But the only problem is, this viral video didn't tell the whole story.
Oh, I knew it.
The story itself does in fact appear to be true, having been confirmed by Philippine officials who admitted that a mistake had been made in that particular hospital, which led to the mix-up and almost to the mistaken burial. But the story doesn't have the happy ending that many of us thought, as in reality, that child never actually woke up. She did have a pulse and shallow breathing, but she would never regain consciousness and remained in a comatose state. In fact, just 2 days after this video was taken, and on the 15th of July, she would once again be pronounced dead, this time for real. But looking back on the viral video viewed by millions, the anchors say that she was fine, calling it a miracle.
Happy tears, knowing that thankfully she's fine. I'm glad they opened that casket to check to move around.
Now, it may be possible that they just didn't know this at the time, as based off of the way they're talking, it seems like the report would have came out the day or the day after the child was found alive.
I don't want to watch this. It's just
Only, that's not true either, as the child was determined to be alive on the 13th of July and once again pronounced dead on the 15th, just 2 days later. Yet this video was published a full month later, on August 13th, 2014. So when this video went live, that little girl was long gone. And this is something that they likely knew, as it had been well reported in other major news outlets on the day of her actual passing.
Damn.
I mean, nowadays, even the top Google result for this incident mentions her passing, and it came out on the very day it happened. So when this video went live, they had to have known it wasn't true. What started on its own as one of the darkest videos on the site has now become even more twisted as the true ending has been revealed. A miracle that turned out to be nothing more than a mirage, leading to even more heartbreak as the family was now forced to grieve and come to terms with this girl's passing twice. And it's made even worse by the news report that has essentially rewritten the story's ending. But looking at just the video and the story as is, of how everything unfolded, it's still truly horrifying that this little girl was almost buried alive, whether she was conscious or not. And it makes me wonder how many others have been in that dreadful situation, buried alive by mistake. The answer to that question is one that we'll quite literally never know, since it is sealed within the claustrophobic walls of a dark coffin, with no hope of escape.
And that's the IMAP.
Computers are coming your way.
Divorce is often one of the more traumatic experiences that a young child can go through, as many are left in a state of confusion and distress at such a tumultuous time in their life. And for a young man named Daniel Bartlam, his childhood was sadly no different. Growing up in Nottinghamshire, England, Daniel's parents, Jackie and Adrian, would separate following the birth of Daniel's younger brother, with the situation leading to a split in the family, as the young boys would move to a new home with their mother. This brought Daniel to an unfamiliar town, as well as a brand new school, and to top it all off, Daniel's mother would soon find a new partner, further adding to the confusion that Daniel must have been feeling. All of these circumstances would lead Daniel to a declining mental state, as he began to isolate himself in his room, barely speaking to his family. Daniel's mother, Jackie, was well aware of the change in his behavior, and she soon thought of the perfect way to bring him out of this depression. So she saved up some money on the side, until she eventually had enough to buy Daniel his very own iMac, a computer that he had been asking for years. At the time, Daniel had a vested interest in technology, even having his own YouTube channel dedicated to the topic. But this new computer meant an upgrade in quality and a future with limitless possibilities. Overjoyed, Daniel quickly began a new channel and dedicated his very first upload to his new device.
Holy iMovie! Oh, what the fuck they used to edit?
Hello YouTube, this is Daniel AB17.
I'm subscribing.
And it's finally happened. I now have an iMac. And I can now make bigger and better videos.
Yeah,
the video is clearly nothing too special, as the quality is about what you would expect from a kid his age who was just starting out. And the following videos were much the same, with these uploads simply being compilations from a show he liked. It all may not have seemed like much, but this computer, along with this new channel, seemed to be the spark that he so badly needed, a new passion and a new outlook on life. But strangely, after just a few uploads, the account would go silent. This is something that happens all the time on YouTube, where a creator starts posting with high aspirations before abandoning their work, and it's typically due to a lack of success or just the overall busyness of life. But in Daniel's case, his reason for leaving was far darker, as right around the time of his last upload, he would experience the ultimate tragedy. On the morning of April 25th, 2011, neighbors of Daniel had reported hearing a commotion coming from his home. That commotion would soon turn to chaos, as the house suddenly erupted into flames, with smoke billowing out all sides. Through the commotion, Daniel would emerge from the home with his little brother and dog in hand, but his mother was nowhere to be found. Police and fire units arrived at the scene quickly, but were already too late, as inside the home
The
they
iMac?
would find the badly burned and disfigured body of Jackie. And surprisingly, they'd soon notice that it wasn't the fire that had done her in, but rather she had been brutally murdered with what appeared to be a hammer. The scene was shocking and incredibly chaotic, but luckily Daniel had been there to explain everything. According to the child, a masked burglar had entered the home before confronting his mother.
Okay,
The confrontation then led to the anonymous person attacking Jackie with a hammer, causing her to collapse to the floor. He then says the intruder lit her body on fire, leading Daniel to grab his brother and dog and escape from the blaze, saving what remained of his family as the murderer escaped out the back.
I mean, they know
Daniel's
how fire
story
started,
stood out
right?
for several reasons, mainly because it showed Daniel was a hero for saving his brother and dog, and it showed just how traumatic that morning must have been for him, as in the matter of one day, Daniel had lost his home and his mother in probably the most devastating way imaginable. But his story also stood out for one other reason, with that reason being in regards to the killer. As police began their investigation, they searched and searched for any clues left behind from this supposed masked intruder, but they found nothing. No fingerprints, no footprints, no anything.
How are they so good at figuring out what is the initial start of a fire? How did they know?
And looking for any semblance of a lead, they started to search through Daniel's room, where through the charred remains, they miraculously found his computer.
Do an investigation, a fire investigation.
Authorities would search the child's device when they stumbled upon something rather bizarre. It was a story that Daniel had typed months before in a Word document that was set as the scene of a soap opera that he had been writing. The story read, Daniel Bartlam, 1997 to 2047, the longest-serving male character to be on the show. The only place he couldn't get away with his deeds was with his mother, Jackie. So one evening, he made it look as though it was a break-in, and murdered his mother with a hammer, and then set her and the family home alight, but helped his brother out to safety, and got his neighbors to contact the police. The story ends with Daniel lying to the police and getting away with murder. It was a shocking revelation, as his mother had been killed with a hammer and set on fire through what Daniel had described as a break-in, just as his story was written. And to make it all stranger, further investigation would reveal that in the days prior to Jackie's death, Daniel had attempted to delete the document, though he had failed to fully remove it. And the findings went deeper, as
iMac
screenshots
users
and clips of a character from a show called Coronation Street were found on the hard drive, with it appearing as though Daniel had an obsession with this character, which proved to be rather interesting, as the character, John Stape, was a villain who had murdered another character with a claw hammer, the same weapon used on his mother. Investigators would keep digging until they eventually found the nail in the coffin, as it was revealed that in the days prior to the attack, Daniel had searched how to get away with murder. With the slew of information and the lack of evidence that a break-in had ever occurred, Daniel's story quickly fell apart, until he eventually admitted the gruesome truth that he had been the one who had taken his mother's life. On the 24th of April, Daniel would spend the night in his room rewatching one of his favorite Saw movies. He then emerged from the room carrying a claw hammer and approached his sleeping mother. He proceeded to strike her 7 times in the face before eventually setting her body on fire and escaping the home with his brother and dog, acting as the hero who had quote-unquote saved the day, when in reality it was all his doing. And the entire series of events had been plotted out on the very computer that his mother gave him, the same computer that he had so excitedly made this video on just months before the attack. To this day, we don't really know why Daniel chose to attack his mother, as any reason he's given has been fairly easily disproven, with many chalking it up to his tumultuous childhood, though we have learned more information about his early years, with many of these stories proving to be incredibly disturbing, and hinting at the idea that Daniel was mentally unwell. For instance, it was said that he had an obsession with gruesome movies and games that seemed to inspire his own violent thoughts as he began watching these graphic films at the age of 8. He took these films as inspiration to start writing his own stories, which almost always ended in death and murder, and the details of which were said to be incredibly intense. And in a much darker example, about 6 weeks before the murder, during a normal day at school, Daniel began desperately yanking at his tie, insisting that it was trying to strangle him. When further asked about this, he then revealed that
even though it's all about films, blame the video games. No, I don't think it's blame the video games, but I just think that it's kind of dumb to be, dude. People that there's information about stuff everywhere. If he's not getting it from a movie, he's gonna get it from some other documentary or fucking piece of media. That's just, you can't hide history. That's just.
He was hearing voices, and those voices were telling him to hurt people. But surprisingly, after being given a psychiatric evaluation, the counselor told his mother that there was nothing wrong with Daniel. But to be on the safe side, they did offer counseling that Jackie would quickly deny, a decision that, for her, may have ultimately proven fatal. Whatever made Daniel snap that day, it was seemingly a long time coming, and despite his young age, he would be sentenced to life in prison, with a chance for parole coming in the distant future. But the truly tragic note here is about his mother, Jackie, as she bought her son that iMac that he so clearly loved, and she did so in the hopes that it would bring some much-needed happiness during such a tough time in his life. How could she have known that, in reality, Daniel would turn around and use that very computer to plan and eventually carry out her very
To actually see if games really influence behavior, you would be starting Dallas Cowboy QB with how well you throw. Okay, Joel. I don't even know why I read that shit. I don't even know why. I
want to give a huge thank you to my gold tier and god tier patrons: Allie Farmer, Barry Winstanley, Bazoo42, Biznacker, Brandon Flores, Karen S, Donovan Aaron, Emily Gray, Game Gamer, J Money, Just Dally.
Chat, guys, I'm gonna keep it about chat. Chat, I feel nauseous. I'm seeing blurry. I feel my head's under pressure. Chat, I slept like 5 hours, and then I passed like 2.5 days. I'm gonna call it. Chat, this is really good videos, chat. Guys, I had a really good time tonight, chat. I just feel odd. It's like shortest stream of all time.
Catherine Ross, Lacey, Mark P.
What else we got? I'll get back to it.